Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly along with Chad and Josh. I'm Lyle. And, boys, this ought to be a fun show tonight.
It should be. I'm going to break the ice right now. It's not a myth that Josh can't catch fish. I'm just kidding.
If nothing else, we got an awesome thumbnail out of tonight. So
we did, dude. I mean,
Chad did an amazing job on the thumbnail.
It's been over 20 years since I've seen myself with hair. So,
some of us ain't never seen you with hair.
Ain't none of y'all ever seen me with hair.
Nobody's seen me with it.
Yep, I understand.
All right.
We got some announcements for tournament results tonight. Let me say we go through them first, Chadwick.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
I've got a couple here. I'll do one. You do one. How do you want?
That's fine.
All right. So first, we got out of the Indiana Catfish Association down at Angel Mounds on Saturday. No, what's the day? Yeah, Saturday was the 24th. We got in 10th place. We got Wayne Barkley and Tim Casey with 23.41 pounds. In 9th place, Terry Holded and Mary Jane Wood with 30.5 pounds. 8th place, Cecil Green and Danny Godwin, 36.31. 7th place, Dave Brooks with Bruce Hupp as their partner with 41.36. 6th place, Corey Peterson and Jeff Mitchner, 49.63. 5th place, Mike and Jerry D. Mitchell, 51.1. 4th place, Marvin Knepp and Terry Yoder with 71.43. 3rd place, Greg Stockton and Josh Richmond, 72.38 with a big fish of 46.57. It's good fish.
Good fish.
2nd place, we have Morris Arnold and Floyd Chamberlain at 87.92. And in 1st place, barely beating by less than, looks like 0.2 pound difference, Don Elder and Chris Tram at 88.12.
Nice.
Very nice.
0.2 pound difference between 1st and 2nd place.
That's really close.
That's good.
That's one of the reasons I like Channel Cat tournaments so well, because the weigh-ins are always really close. I have the results for the Wren Lake Catfishing Tournament that was held the 24th. And in 5th place was Clarice Jones, Derek Miller, and Jason Julius with 17.7 pounds. 4th place was 19.9 pounds with Jim Love and Bobby Brunch. 3rd place was 20.5 pounds with Gavin Walton and Danny Adams. 2nd place and Big Fish was 9.3, and 2nd place total weight was 20.7. Blake Cook, Ryan Cook, and Mike Goldman. And winning 1st place with 23.3 pounds was Catfish Weekly's own Josh and Christina Dunnigan. So congratulations to all the winners.
Bravo!
So
Good job, Christina.
Yeah, I was going to say, y'all know who caught the fish. So
good job.
Should we ask how did you catch those fish?
Oh man, I knew you were going to put me up on that. The only working pattern we had was dragging baits and pulling planer boards. And you know how much I love to do both of those things. But I liked them a little bit better come weigh-in time.
I bet you did. All right.
Great job.
All right. And lastly, we have the Adam Isaacs Clinton Lake Catfish Tournament Series. So throw down here real quick. We've got, there we go. All right. 4th place, we have with 70.9 pounds, Sam Hughes and Cordell Ingram. We have 3rd place with 91 pounds, Adam Isaacs and Aaron Isaacs. They also had big fish on day 1, which was 46.88 pounds. And then 2nd place with 98 pounds was Adam Hart and Justin Haley. And in first place, 152.12 pounds, James Gordon and Nick Wyckoff.
Good job, folks.
They also had the big fish on day 2, which was 41.45 pounds.
It's good fish.
That is some nice numbers out of that tournament.
Yes,
I like it. I like it.
Very nice. Congratulations to all winners. And for you folks that want your tournament results announced, just message them to one of us or put them on Catfish Weekly's Facebook Messenger and tell us the date and where the tournament was held, and we'll get them up for you each and every Monday night. And we're glad to do it. And if you have upcoming tournaments that you want announced, the same thing. Just get them to one of us, and we'll announce those to make sure that we get the word out for everybody that wants to participate in that. So, thank you guys so much. All right.
Chad, I'm getting messages from your brother Mark.
Already?
Already. I think he's jealous of the thumbnail. He's trying to say it looks creepy, very creepy, just.
That is $1 million thumbnail right there.
I know, right?
I got to say that my thumbnail game, I think, to me personally, is kind of starting to step up a little bit. It's going to be like next level stuff.
It was on point this week. So.
That's for sure. Just like your head.
What do you say we talk about some of the people in chat tonight, Chadwick?
All right. Matt, he's a wannabe. Let's see. Fishing in Freedom, he's kind of fugly looking. I don't know Carmel, but Carmel seems like a pretty good person to me. What? Oh, you meant shout him out, not talk about him.
Yeah.
Totally misunderstood what the goal here was. We need to get our communication, I guess, a little bit better. Mr. Kitty Whisper, Fishing in Freedom, Wannabe Outdoors, Cat Life Outdoors, Carmel Muncie. Member Mark from Catfishing Crappie, who has Luke Hinges on tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Muskrat Adventures, Freddy's Outdoor Adventures, Mike, Irvin, Sean, Abney, Joe Buck 66. We got Terra Fishing. So, rolling. Oh, there we go. Creole Catfishing. What's going on, my friend? Mr. Maurice Cason's made it in. Always a pleasure to see him, even though he's going to give me an angry face. Straight from Real and Virtual Outdoors. There we go. Merrimack Cats. We've got John Wazorek. Hopefully I said that somewhat right. If not, please be mad at Josh.
Always.
We got Mr. Uncle Lou in the house. What's up, buddy? We got Lance McCoo guy. Miss Chrissy Brown. I got to hang out with her and Ernie again this weekend, Lyle.
That's awesome.
Always a pleasure. The Bullock Experience.
And Chad Nolte's in here. Jerry Parker.
Got Double Hook Angling and John Boy's Catfishing.
See, Pontoon Jody has joined us.
Did you say Sonny Parker?
I did not, but I will. We got Sonny Parker in here. Got Van from V3 Customs up on the screen.
We do.
Yep. We'll make sure we go back and say thank you, Ray Smith, for the $1 super chat.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ray.
We got JBT. What's happening? John Patrick Jr. My beautiful, wonderful, awesome, amazing wife, D. Michelle from It's All Mine. Tim, Donna. Team Snag and Whiskers, Sean. I think I'm almost down here to the bottom now.
John Patrick Jr.
Urban Tourist.
Valerie Irwin.
Fishing with Squirrel.
There was somebody else.
QC Fishing. Did you get him?
I did not.
Chad came down to Rocky Forest and took place in there.
Yeah, we had a little coffee can tournament, 3 fish weigh in, and D and I finished with 34 pounds.
Awesome.
Finished
That
second.
is
And the
awesome.
reason Roger brought this up because he wants to rub it in my face again that he beat me on his lake, that he's fished 1,000 times with Justin Fishing Fetish. And I swear, them tiny little channel cats that they caught had to have had 12-ounce sinkers shoved down inside them because
Okay.
my fish were obviously bigger in my head.
I just missed one, blown away. Man, chat's rolling. Oh, P&B Catfishing, Paul Boyd, welcome. Brian B. Jody. I don't know how many of them that we've got and haven't got. John Patrick Jr.
Patriot James, Brian B. Catfishing. There's the champ right there who's made it in. Christina Dunnigan.
Yes, there she is.
Blake Bedner. I thought I was down here at the bottom. Goodness, I keep scrolling.
Blake is in here.
Yep.
Good to see you, Blake. Haven't seen you for a while. Blake is one of the original guys that used to do videos with shoot, can't think of what I wanted to say now. Luke and them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep, sure was.
Betty
Yep.
Jean's made it in. Got us on the
He used
TV listening.
Maserati.
Do what?
He used to have a Maserati. I can't get over him having one. I didn't get to ride in it.
And I think that's the end of Eric with Amy Evans and Justin Fishing Fetish. Call his name, and there he is.
There he is.
Already has made it in.
Hey, boys, I think we're down, got them all caught up. 68 awesome people in here. We appreciate every one of you. When we appreciate you just a little bit more if we could get that thumbs up going already.
Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed, do that. And there's a join button if you'd like to join the membership collection and click on that down below. We'd love to have you in there. But if not, we totally understand. So one of you two come up with this Mythbusters theme, and I think it was Josh, wasn't it?
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
I think it was.
And we talked about it for a couple of weeks, and we had other things going on, but I think this will be a fun topic to go over tonight because let's face it, we have all heard a bunch of stuff that some of it could be true, but probably isn't.
No, and I think
no way it could be true.
No, and I think a lot of us grew up even being told certain things that you come to find out later on aren't exactly true.
That's right. That's right. But
hopefully we can kill off some of those myths tonight and get some stuff going there.
Well, I think so. I'm sure you guys have lists. I have the number one thing is guys talk about Volkswagen size catfish below and above the dams.
Don't you tell me that my uncle and dad that they lied to me about this.
Yeah,
the underwater welder that quit his job because he didn't want to go back down there no more.
I actually have an ex-brother-in-law that if you look on a lot of the dams on the Mississippi River, they have a crane sitting on top of them, goes back and forth across there.
Mm-hmm.
What that crane does is when them big trees that wash down the river, they pull up against the lock, they send a guy down there to put that hook or the cable around them trees, and they pull them up, then they lift them to the other side, and let them float on down to wherever it is they go. Well, Chuck used to do that. And he said a lot of times you go down in front of them dams and you can't see anything. The water's too muddy. So therefore you have no idea other than touchy-feely stuff. And he says, you can feel fish up against them dams. They just lay there. They don't do anything. In fact, sometimes you have to move them to get where you want to go. He said, but none of them's the size of Volkswagens. He says, that's some pretty good ones down there. He said, but there's none. They're not even reasonably close to that.
Yeah.
And then again, to really back this up, when the Missouri Department of Conservation done a report here a few years ago, it was worked on for 5 years. And they went from where the Missouri River comes in on the west side of the state to the confluence at St. Louis, and from the Iowa line where the Mississippi come into the state to where it confluence in St. Louis, and they shocked up fish. And they told me there was several new state and world records that they had found. I didn't ask them where. I didn't want to know because I would have concentrated solely on that till the end of my time. But he said that also some of them was world records, and that's after this last record was set. So there's some 140, 50-pound fish somewhere in those two river systems, or the way blues travel, they may be below Memphis, they may be Quincy. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, none of them are the size of Volkswagen. They're all basically in the 60-foot range, or 60-inch.
Oh my God, it's a big.
I was going to say that's a
That big,
semi-trailer.
but yeah,
Those are
60
submarines.
give a little or take a little, because sometimes you'll get a fish that's short and real big around, and it'll weigh more than a real long one that's not as big around. And that depends on where they're from, what they eat, their genetic background. There's a lot of variables to length and girth. That's why that measurement is not a very accurate way to do it. If you're going to weigh fish, you need to weigh fish, put them on scales, and call it a day.
Yeah. Because
one's real long and skinny, and the next one's real short and fat, and kind of like me and Josh.
Wait, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
I'm not short.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, Josh is tall.
Yeah, I understand. But yeah,
they got a 130-pounder there this summer.
But there's plenty of big fish out there, and I bet if you caught some of the real giants that are available and knew the history on them and how many times they've been on maybe a trot line or maybe broke off somebody on a rod and reel, to be that size, that could have happened a number of different times and nobody ever seen them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of variables. But I'm sure that you guys have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Josh is out there. He just now got his rods out because it's getting dark, and he believes this myth that catfish only bite at night.
Horse hockey.
No.
Horse hockey.
I would 100% say that is wrong, because I have caught way more fish during the day than I have ever at night.
I have
used to primarily fish night.
And I tell you what, we used to always, if we were going catfishing, we'd get out here about this time of day, and you'd wait, it'd get dark and everything else. Now, don't get me wrong, it's fun. You can catch fish and everything else, but you can catch catfish just as quickly during the day. If you couldn't, there wouldn't be no catfish tournaments during the day. They'd all be in the day.
Exactly. I see something drop by me. Night Hill Jack. In Oregon, below Bonneville Dam, they had some divers go down and said the same thing. Monster sturgeon and catfish scared the divers.
That's the universal story. It don't matter which lake you're on. If there's a dam, river, whatever. If there's a dam, there's a fish down there to swallow you whole.
Well, I mean, I know Lyle has hunted. I'm not sure how much hunting you've done, but there's something that I think water does, just like land. When you're like looking down at a deer, it looks bigger until you get up on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think water distorts. I mean, every time I've ever caught a fish, it was at least 50 to 100 pounds on the way to the boat when I saw it on the top of the water, dragging it across.
Yep.
And then I got it in, and it was this big. So I think water does a little something to people's brains and makes it, distorts the true size of the fish a little bit.
Chad, when you're reeling that fish in and you're skiing it across the top, it'll work. Trust me.
Hey, my eyes ain't very good.
Okay.
Here's one from the crowd.
Oh yeah. guys, if you do have anything, any types of these, throw them in chat. Let's talk them out tonight. So
that's definitely something.
Ivory soap. Who grew up
I have-
with stick ivory soap on the trot line?
Cutting little chunks, about like
Mhm. I think Chris Flores tried that with some of that Zote soap. Zote
is the other one. I was just sitting there trying to figure out what it was called. I couldn't remember.
Zote, and Zote's mostly, I think, animal fat. So I mean, I could see that one. I could see that one working, and I think he did catch fish on it. But is it the best thing to go out if if I can only take one bait? Am I going to take soap? Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not. But I have heard this. I'll be honest. I was flipping through the Tiki-Taki the other day, and I happened to come across a commercial guy that was out there with his lines, and I was trying to get their attention, asking some valuable questions to them that I kept getting ignored. But they were talking about that they do tend to put that occasionally on their lines for bait. The soap.
Yeah, I could see that working. Right fish comes along, he'll bite on anything.
And by the way, I finally got noticed and got kicked out.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Who has heard about the myth about spraying your bait down with WD-40?
WD-40.
Oh yeah, that's an old one.
Now, who's tried that? Oh, you did. How did it work?
Not for catfishing.
Oh,
but back in the probably mid '80s, my grandpa was big into bass tournaments, and somebody had told him, spray your plastic worms down with WD-40 and you catch more fish. And he kept a can in there, and we'd be throwing plastic worms and spraying them down with WD-40 before we pitched them in the water. Something about nobody could agree whether it was the smell or if it was the little trail that left behind it or what. And I don't think we caught any more fish off of a WD-40 worm than we would have with a regular one, but it was, worth a shot. But
my dad used to spit on his bait. I don't know if it helped or not, but he caught a lot of fish.
Let your bait sit out in the sun and side. That was one that was on my list. You got to get you some shrimp and let them sit out in the sun for a few days and just rot.
Yeah, I've heard of chicken livers done that way.
Oh man, that'll turn.
I will tell you right now. It's been about 3 years ago now, but my buddy Heath found some recipe online for some cured chicken livers, and I forget what all you poured in there, garlic powder and salt and all this stuff, and you put it in your fridge for a real long time. And he did them for like 6 months. And they were supposed to turn them so hard that they wouldn't fall off the hook. And he opened those up. We were bank fishing one night in the middle of winter, and he opened that thing, and it was about enough to turn your stomach. It would have gagged a maggot off a gut truck. And I still got bad memories of that. That was awful. We didn't try putting them on hooks. We didn't try.
I don't know what kind of catfishing book Sonny Parker's got. He's reading.
They used to make. I don't know if they still do, but they used to make that stuff with shark oil. And that started as a saltwater thing. People would put that on their baits because it would have that fish oil in it.
Well, wouldn't that just shrink your baits up?
It might. I don't know.
I mean, come on.
Oh my.
Scrolling down through my grandma's now. Let's see. Let's see. Well, while we're talking about that, since we all know now that Kevin leaves his chicken out for days on end, letting it ripen.
That was the one that I was hoping would come up there. Richard said he cured some chicken liver with borax. It worked pretty good and stayed on hook. I think that might have been what Heath poured on his was borax, but it had long since gone bad, and that stuff just stunk. Yeah,
I'm thinking so.
But that was one of the myths I had on here on my list, was that catfish baits have to be stinky. The stinkier the better.
Stinkier the better.
I don't believe that.
We started talking about the night fishing thing. That was, if you watch my video a few weeks ago where I took my buddy out he wanted some eaters. I told him we'd go out and catch some eaters, and he asked me, he's like, well, what night you want to go? I said, we're going to go during the day. He's like, well, I want catfish. I said, I know, that's what we're going to go get. He's like, you can't catch them during the day. I said, I guarantee you can. And so we went out there, and he's a believer in daytime fishing now. So,
well, yeah,
That's right.
here's
Let's
another
see.
one.
we got
Moon phase.
the moon phase. I think there might be something to that one, but I don't think it's an end all. I've caught fish with the full moon, and I've been skunked with a full moon.
I have too. And another one that goes along with that is the barometer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, I do think that sometimes it plays a part. But if they're really finicky, it don't bother them. They're not going to eat unless you make them.
No.
And if they're starving to death and haven't eaten 3 or 4 days, they're going to bite.
Oh yeah.
I think all that'll play a little bit of a part. But would it keep me from going fishing if the barometer was off or if the moon phase was wrong? No. If I got a chance to go, I'm gone.
If that's my one day that I can fish that week, that's what day I'm gonna be out there. And it's
Same.
I think the wind has more to do
Yeah.
than the moon or the barometer ever will.
And 100-degree days.
And 100-degree days. That might be where the night fishing come out. It gets hot in the summertime. It's when people catfish, and it's, Granddad didn't want to go sit out there in the sun in 90 degrees, so he took you at night.
That's exactly right. And that works for me. It just does. Sonny says toothpaste to get the smell of fish off your hands. I have a buddy of mine that I used to fish with a lot, Keith Atkins, and he kept toothpaste in his tackle box to wash his hands with.
Huh. I've never tried that. I will say I have tried one of those. They sell them at Bass Pro. I imagine you can get them elsewhere, but they look like a bar of soap, but they're just a piece of stainless steel. You're supposed to just take water and rub that stainless steel on your hand. It's smooth as could be. It's slick. It's supposed to take that fish smell off, and it doesn't. It's never done anything for me.
Yeah. Like I say, some people believe in it. If you believe in something that it's working for you, whether it works or not, if you believe in it, it's working.
Confidence goes a long way.
It doesn't catch them fish, I think.
I
agree.
We have sat out here at this very lake before, trying to bounce jigs for crappie, knowing that we're no good at that, and when you got to just barely move that jig and they'll bite. It had a boat 10 foot from us, a couple old men just pulling them out hand over fist. They had the confidence in that, and we didn't. They caught fish, we didn't. They laughed at us all day.
Fish Flick says, but does barometer pressure even matter in a 30-foot hole? I don't think so.
I can't see it would. 30 foot of water, that's going to be in one entire atmosphere more. That's why you can't shoot up from the bottom. You get the bends. So
yeah, I agree. I don't think it matters at all.
I think you talked about that earlier in me into my next two, because one was you started to touch on it about the whole summer fishing at night. People believe that fish don't bite during wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
It is where I fish year round. It don't matter how cold it is. Ask anybody that's ever fished the Winter Blues tournament online.
Oh yeah,
how cold it is. Get out there and fish.
We got skunked in the first one of those.
Figured it out now though.
Yeah, we had that was Christina and I out there on Baldwin with Christina, like 6 months pregnant, out there in that bitter cold, and we didn't get nothing that day.
Slime?
Go ahead.
Yeah, slime from a previous fish caught on the line deters other fish from biting.
I can assure you they don't care. I can assure you with all certainty they don't care about that slime on that.
Now I'm going to have to cut every leader off after every fish.
Yeah.
It's only going to be 1 or 2, a month, but
we had a lot of slime on every line Saturday, and we were still catching fish.
They still bite. Yep.
They were still biting.
But here's the second part to that question. Talk about winter, but a lot of people seem to think you got to go to the deepest part of of whatever water you're fishing to find a catfish.
Got to go that deep. You got to go that.
Got to be a 100-foot hole.
Yep, got to be a 100-foot hole.
Not true if you're new around here.
And that could be year round, because you get a good warm day in the dead of winter, and let it bring that water temperature up there next to the bank up a few degrees. And I've caught some nice fish in a foot or two of water in December and January.
I have caught many fish in creeks that are, 2 to 10 feet of water, 10 being generous in some of the creeks that I fish. Catching 20s, 30s, 40-pound fish in there. Catching them left and right, and catching them while you're dragging them. So, saying that they don't move in the wintertime.
Dave Garcher has made it into chat. Welcome, sir.
Now, Chad, you'll even drag baits when the water's cold, won't you?
Yes, I will.
You don't have a temperature that you cut off. Okay.
I have speed control. They will still bite. If I'm dragging baits in the wintertime, normally it's going to be shallower water that's kind of up. And if they are up in there, they are feeding. So typically might be a little bit slower, but I'm still dragging baits on during that time. If I can. If it's not froze over.
Right. And see, I usually about 52 degrees, I start, I'm gonna be yanking the anchor out. So
nope. I've done it, and it's cold. It's like 30 degrees on New Year's Day.
Oh, wow.
New Year's Day tournament in a 10-foot creek. Tore them up.
That's crazy.
Danny Stone and Big Ridge Catfishing, and one more that I don't see now has joined us in chat. Steve Locke, Laughing Catfishing.
There's Thomas.
Good to see Thomas in here. So what else you guys got in your
Let's see. We got
chest of mythical adventures?
Catfish are only bottom feeders, Lyle.
That's very false.
Mm-hmm.
They feed all the way up and down the water column, from top all the way to bottom.
Catfish are trash fish that are only swimming around eating the dead stuff.
Yeah.
No,
they'll eat everything in the kitchen sink. They're just trash fish.
If you have big catfish in your lake, they are the top predator in your lake.
That's correct.
Right.
That is correct.
Well, kind of touched on that one. The hotter, the better. The summertime fishing is the best fishing. And we all know that ain't true, because everybody seems to really like spring and fall bite the best. And then it seems like winter and summer last.
Yeah, Christina. Chicken livers are the best catfish bait ever. I can't tell you how many times I've been told that.
Oh.
And you go down to fish the river and you're cutting skipjacks in half or moon eyes in half. And I've had buddies of mine tell me, well, if you really want some big cats, quit messing with those, those fish you're cutting up, and just put a big wad of chicken liver on there, and you're going to get even bigger fish. No, we've tried. Trust me.
And here's one I think is kind of a good one for people that don't know. Catfish fins are poisonous.
Yep.
They feel poisonous if they stick you.
They hurt. They hurt.
They're sharp as heck. And there are catfish species that are not in the U.S. that there's a few species that actually do have venomous glands in their dorsal fins.
Yeah.
And it's not any that we have in the U.S. It's sharp, especially the smaller, the sharper they are. But they do sting for a minute.
Yeah. And for the most part, it's your smaller fish that are going to be the ones that hurt you. As those fish mature and get older, they wear that point off those things.
It's dull, yeah.
If you've ever caught little bitty channel cats in your cast net, you'll know what I'm talking about. When they're fingerlings, when they're 3 or 4 inches long, that thing is serrated. That little spine is serrated, and it will flat tear you up.
Oh,
yes.
But you pick up a 40-pound cat, you're going to feel that bone sticking out there, but it's not pointed no more. He's worn that thing off. But, I've seen people, hey, that part would get you. Thinking that the whiskers would get you.
Yep, that was the other one I was getting ready to highlight.
Yeah.
Having the
Whiskers don't take it.
whiskers won't sting you. That's I told my buddy when we were out there that day. I said it's basically their nose, and that thing can't get you there. So
It's like Chad's nose hairs.
Not only do you put that comment up on where everybody sees it, giving Brian.
Brian says if you throw a rod in the river, you'll catch that. Will wake up the bite. Is that true, Chad?
Yeah.
It's not.
I don't know. I know if you throw a phone in the lake, it won't wake up the bite.
Not even if somebody rings it?
Not even if somebody rings it. Then you just got to go back 5 days later and wade out in the water and get it.
Is that right, Chad?
I ain't talking to either one of you right now.
Sonny, I don't know what plunking for cats is. I never heard of that one.
What
is
plunking?
it?
Plunking for cat.
It has to have something to do with chicken, I think.
Hey, Lyle, chicken breast, the best Kool-Aid chicken, best bait ever, right?
Not in my opinion, no. I don't use any part of chicken. If I did, it'd be the lips. I seen it'd be work as well as anything other part of the chicken I ever tried. And I've used them all. I mean, it don't matter. It just don't work around here.
I've caught fish on chicken.
I'm not saying I haven't caught fish on chicken, but you don't catch no giants. It's like livers. It's a little fish bait, period.
We've caught fish on chicken, but I tell you what, the only place chicken has really worked for us is somewhere where you're sitting on a mussel bed. And I think that might have something to do with it. I mean, you look at that raw piece of chicken and a mussel, texture wise, ain't a whole lot of difference between the two. But I know plenty of guys that believe in chicken, catch good fish.
Good luck with it.
But once again, that's if that's where your confidence lies, stick with your confidence. It's going to put fish in the boat.
I think it's convenience for people. I really do. The people who use chicken, I feel like either don't know how to catch bait or are too lazy to catch it. It's so much easier to spend $10 at the store.
Grab my jacket. It cooled off.
I've had days like that.
Hey, I've had days when you couldn't get bait, and I would give $10 for a piece of chicken just so I'd have bait. But I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think a lot of them videos where I think a lot of that's Photoshop. I really do. And I'm not saying you can't catch a big one on it. I just don't think it happens as near as often as people let you believe it.
I think, like what Josh said, confidence level wise, I have caught fish. I've caught plenty of fish on it, but not like I have since really learning to, catch skipjack, use skipjack, catch shad, use shad in different ways and stuff like that. Like bluegill, honestly, bluegill used to be one of my big baits. I rarely use bluegill anymore. Like in a river system. Sometimes I do.
Think a lot of times the fish that you use, whether it be live or cut, the success rate you have with that depends on the time of year you're using certain kinds of.
I would agree with that.
There's certain times of the year when they don't want anything but bluegill. There are certain times of the year, especially on rivers, they don't want anything but skipjack. Other times it's shad. Other times it's moon eye and Asian carp. And in my opinion, the hotter the weather is, the better Asian carp works. Unless you get a piece out of the backbone where it's really, really bloody, I don't think it matters what time of year it is because they're going after that scent from that blood and they'll take whatever's there. But we've had a lot better luck once the water gets cold. We have better luck with shad and downsizing the baits than doing skips. As skips get hard to catch in the dead of winter, shad are pretty easy. And I mean it's similar for the confirmed with Brandon and Chad catch better fish than that's busted. My money's on Betty and Dee for that one. Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Is it true that Chad can catch catfish? I proved that this weekend. Thank you very much. Our 3 biggest fish that we weighed in were all caught by me.
Oh, nice.
I like this one because I was telling Christina the other day when I was pre-fishing for that tournament, I was trying to figure out a way to somehow fish that where I wasn't sore lipping every fish in the lake. And
Safety pins.
I'm liking that zip tie idea.
That'll work. Safety pins will work too. You just safety pin them onto your thing. It doesn't take much to open up a safety pin or pull the bait off of it.
Right.
You don't sore up the fish if you're planning on catching those exact fish tomorrow or the next day.
I tell you one thing I did when I was out pre-fishing was I'd move into a place, and if I caught a fish fairly quickly, pulled up trolling motor and fired it up, and I was gone.
Yeah.
You know, just let's get away from that. And let's not mess up what's in there.
When we done a lot of tournaments, a lot of times we would go and we would find fish. Sometimes, if I thought it was a really good fight, we wouldn't even put bait in the water. And if I was on the line about a spot, we'd fish it and catch one fish and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Not go back to it till tournament day. That unless we just went through to scan it to see if they was still there the day before, maybe.
You mean you ain't doing like we always did bass fishing and all the bass anglers do and go in and sore lip every single fish in a cove?
They're only doing that to keep the other guys from catching. I have went to places where I knew other guys was going to be that I couldn't outrun to those spots, and I would pre-fish those for hours. Sure did. And I would do it if I was in another tournament tomorrow, because why would you help them catch fish?
Mm-hmm.
You might as well help them out all you can.
Yep.
And there's nothing illegal about it. It's just part of the game. What else you guys got on your list?
I'm looking at Roger's comment there. He said fish don't have a memory. They don't have a yesterday. They don't have tomorrow. They only have today. You don't believe pre-fishing hurts anything. I've always just maybe we should talk on that one for a bit. Does pre-fishing sort the concept of sore lipping all those fish, does that hurt you, or can you go back tomorrow and catch the fish that you just caught the day before?
I tell you a story that I've told many, many times on this show. My son Marky and I was on Truman Lake, and it was after one of the big floods, and the water was really high before it started going down. And we was catching fish every day. We go up there, just groves of good fish, quality fish. And he caught a 26-pounder, and I had a live well. Actually, what it was a cooler made into a bait well, and we had live shad in there. And we had caught shad that morning enough to last us probably 2 days. And this 26-pounder that he caught was the biggest fish that he had ever caught. We want to make sure we got some good pictures. We put it in there with them shad. 2 hours later, when the shad left in there, he had just been caught. And he was caught good, So I don't believe that it affects them. But if you're in a tournament and you think that it'll help to go catch somebody else's fish, by all means, go catch some fish.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have been the same way. You kidnap me and put me in your house. Hold me hostage. I'm going to eat every bit of food out of your cabinet.
Yep, I'm going to open the fridge and we're going to go.
That's right.
I think really that's probably one of the last ones I had on here. I kind of did a little research on this. It says catfish are dumb.
No, I don't agree with that.
Exactly. This actually says, the facts about it. In 1985, Gordon Farabee with the Missouri Department of Conservation tested the comparative learning ability of 14 species of fish. Channel catfish, along with the striped bass, bigmouth, buffalo, and common carp, were the best learners and achieved the highest overall scores, far above other sports fish such as largemouth and smallmouth bass, rainbow trout, northern pike, and bluegill. So they're a little bit more intelligent than probably people give them credit for.
So they're smarter than the average bear.
I would agree with that.
Now, they're still an animal, and they're going on instinct, and exactly what Roger was saying. Is they don't know where the next meal is. If they're hungry, they're going to be trying to feed. So, a lot of different factors go into that. We talked about pressure earlier. We talked about Water clarity and sunlight could be something.
I think water clarity has a lot to do with it,
Too.
especially on what they're eating.
I've got another one, and I'm going to defer this one to Lyle after I make the comment, because honestly, I think he's going to be the authority on this. But how many times have you heard, if you're going catfishing, if you're buying a catfish rod, it needs to be as stiff as a broom handle? Because if you don't have one that's stiff as a broom handle, you're not going to catch anything.
That's absolutely false. And with circle hooks being probably the number one hook used today, that rod has to load up before it works. So if it's stiff, it's loaded to start with, and it'll pull it away from too many of them. Where a medium action or even a medium heavy will load up, and then by the time it realizes it turns. That's when it hooks them. Once it turns. So I don't agree with that at all.
No,
Now, I got guys that fish below the dams on the big rivers or someplace where there's heavy current, and they want something like that, because what happens in that heavy current is them fish will go in there and whatever they're feeding on, they'll grab it and just keep swimming. They won't even slow down. And in that case, it might load up real quick. It might not. Doesn't matter. It might come back to you, but they're after fish that it doesn't matter if they're loaded up or not. And most of them are not using circle hooks, but they want something to rip their heads completely off when they set the hook. Therefore, they want something that's heavier action. And remember now, the action of the rod from the tip down 1/3 of the way, that's where your action's at. The power is in the last 2/3 of it. So
paint your singers, because they will see them and not bite.
That's the first time I've heard of that.
Hey, put Sean T's. Oh, he deleted it. Sean T had a good. There it was. It's gone now. There it is.
Not from my screen, Sean T. I hope somebody is watching.
Busted.
Creole still in here. Could you send that to Sean T's wife?
Yeah.
I think I may or may not have teased Christina a few hundred times about broomsticks.
Could it just be a form of intelligence as far as avoidance or avoiding trouble or stuff? Could be.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. To me, that's pretty smart.
Huh? That's exactly right.
There's another bluebird sky. I don't know if we touched on that at all. Bluebird skies.
Bluebird skies is what we had. Bluebird skies fishing that tournament Saturday.
Really affected you, didn't
it? All it did was it changed our pattern. The day before, when I was pre-fishing, we had very low clouds. The temperature struggled to get to about 70 degrees that day, and I was catching fish shallower. I was catching fish anywhere from 1 to 6 feet of water. And Saturday morning, the weather was a complete opposite. It jumped up. I think we topped out around 86 Saturday, complete bluebird skies, and our shallow bite was gone. We had to go look at 10 foot of water and drag the flats, but the bite was still there. The bite was good.
What was the clarity, like the water clarity?
That really didn't change. It's Wren Lake, so it's fairly stained. It's not as bad as Crab Orchard, which I've got behind me, but
see, I wondered that too with, when we talked about full moon earlier, and when we talk about, sunny, the bluebird skies, real sunny days, stained water, versus clear water. Like you were saying, they moved down off those shallows into a little bit dirtier water. Is that why maybe they bit harder there? What did I just miss on this?
You didn't miss anything. Jeremy DeFore is sending me messages through Messenger and trying to get me in trouble.
Good. I mean, what?
He should share them with everybody.
No.
fish out of when the wind's out of the east. Fish won't bite when the wind's out of the east. You ever heard that?
I've heard that.
Yep, I've heard it my whole life. If the wind's going out of the east, stay home. You ain't gonna catch nothing.
Yeah, and wind from the east, fish bite the least.
That's bull. But now it does affect you on a north-south running river because the wind's constantly blowing you. It's hard to hold a boat still. But you can find places to catch fish.
It made me change direction. We had an east wind Friday when I was pre-fishing, and I had to drag a different direction. I actually had to drag a direction that I didn't like to drag on that lake. I like to go perpendicular to this one highway, and I had to drag parallel to that highway. Did it cost me some did it cost me some fish? Probably, but I still caught some.
Yeah. I don't believe that flatheads really care for light all that much, but I don't think it bothers them too much. Not like people think it does.
I've heard that before. If you turn on anything in the boat, any light at all in the boat, that you're gonna forget getting flathead. And
I light up my boat like it's downtown St. Louis. And, it don't matter.
The only thing about turning on lights outside at night, as you can tell,
bugs. That's why you turn them off unless you're catching a fish.
Yeah.
What about clickers, fellas?
Clickers?
And I think people are afraid to use clickers sometimes because I think they think the fish will feel them when they're mouthing bait and then it's clicking and vibrating through the line. I don't think that bothers anything.
I don't either.
I take them out of my Catmax reels.
You just don't use them.
I don't use them.
Right.
But I have reels to fish with a clicker, which is not very often. But if I'm going to fish with a clicker, there are reels with better clickers than a Catmax. The Catmax clicker won't hold any weight. And in current, it's just going to sit there.
That's no good. That's no good.
Wind out of the fish bite the best. Heard that one
growing. Fish from the bank with clicker, bail open clicker on.
I'm gonna bring one up, and I've never heard it, but it's just something that I've observed. But like I'm bank fishing right now, and if you've ever had when you're bank fishing, you start getting tap on it. I've run up on that rod when I'm start to get tapped, and they will just completely stop. And it always has made me wonder if. You remember as kids, you'd get 2 tin cans and a long piece of string, and you could pull it real tight and make a telephone?
Yep.
Are those vibrations of you running up there to that rod being transmitted straight down that line and that fish feeling that? Because I have seen them stop biting when I run to that rod. Either that or they figured out a way. They've got a spotter out there. Hey, let's make this guy get up and run.
It very well could be something, the vibrations of the ground going through it. Somebody like myself, who's a fairly small guy running towards it, is not going to be, I'm somewhat full figured. It's not going to be the same as somebody as midget-esque as Lyle. It's.
I mean, Dockery can go.
Dockery, you probably don't even.
But
yeah, he's like Peter Pan.
Music in the boat. They kind of.
Now. I know guys that have live scope, and I'm not a big proponent on live scope. I think it's a little overrated for what it is, but now a lot of people love it and they work good for it, and I'm not going to take that away from anybody. But I have had guys tell me that they've been in a John boat and they drop something on the floor, and the fish that's directly below that they're trying to catch are gone. They usually come right back, but they leave. Noise in the boat when something sharp hits the aluminum boat floor or any boat floor, I guess, as far as that goes.
Ain't that what they were talking about earlier? That plunking? Ain't that what that is? That
I don't know.
What is it like for?
I never heard it called that.
What is that called? I think somebody does it out there for
I hear you
and stuff. They have that thing just hit the bottom of the boat. They say it.
That's clunking.
Plunking.
Oh, okay. Now, is that like
that overseas a lot?
Now, would that be like slapping the dock roof with the rod to trigger a bite?
I believe it would.
That's why Dockery calls them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it would. Yeah. Yep, I believe it would.
Music in the boat, and growing up and now being a dad, when you're out there fishing as a kid and you keep getting told, hey, you got to be quiet, you're scared the fish off. That's really your dad telling you he just wants some peace and quiet. You were talking
shut
too
up.
much. Just shut up.
I'll tell you what, don't scare them off. Watching the winning St. Louis Cardinal baseball games, listen to them on.
Man,
That's cruel, man.
it's about to be. It's going into October. Chad's team doesn't know what to do in October.
My team finally decided to start winning games. Now that it's the end of September, early October,
games behind.
Anyway, I don't like any of them anymore, to be honest with you. But,
trying to look through chat, see if anything. Merrimack cats, I like that one. New rod and reel won't catch as many cats as your old one.
I'll take my chances on that.
You got the bad juju on the new rods, you know.
Yeah.
I disagree. Ones that I got recently, I got some test rods that I'm testing out, and the very first night, caught one on each.
There you go.
My new glue rods, I'm catching fish on them left and right. First day out. So
that's awesome.
I used to believe it. I'll be honest. I used to believe in it because I felt like some other people are on YouTube that they've been on YouTube for now 2 years, and I've never seen them catch a fish yet. But I ain't going to mention any names out there. I'm seeing a couple in chat.
There is one of the biggies right there.
There's one right there. Bananas on the boat.
Bananas on the boat. That is probably millennials. Is that how they say that? Millennials? That's probably the number one thing that millennials will tell you is never take a banana on a boat.
That's an old bit.
Mm.
Yep. It's been around a long time. There's another one. Got to dunk the net. Well, I never did.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah, never have. Yeah. In fact, I only started hearing about that in the last couple of years.
I had never heard that till I fished the first pool party and had Rob Chance in the boat. And the first thing he did when we got out there, start fishing, he dunked that net.
Yeah.
We had to fish 10 minutes later. So.
Some people watch Combat Carl a little too much. That's where that came from.
No kidding.
That come from where?
Combat Carl.
Oh, okay.
I think Rob's very superstitious.
But yeah, we went over the whole banana in the boat thing last year around the Halloween. We did a Halloween, just talking about different old tales and stuff like that, scary stories and where all that stuff came from. And all it
is that where we talked about balls deep tackle?
No, that was the year before.
That was Black Friday.
That was Black Friday deals.
Excuse me, lost my head.
We'll be coming up here in November. We'll be doing that again. So we'll start looking for the deals that are coming out for the Black Friday sales. So I heard Trampus games are going on sale that week. So
do I get to pick some out for you to announce?
You are not allowed to pick any of those out ever again.
I'll pick some out for you.
Thank you.
What about putting stickers in people's boats? Do you think that affects fish being
I don't think it affects the way that they catch fish, but I think it affects the way they apply themselves looking for them decals.
This comment right here, I think this is a good comment to say, the more expensive your gear, the more fish you'll catch.
That's BS too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to guess. I'm going to out on a limb here. And there's tons of high dollar stuff on the market. There's tons of medium dollar stuff on the market. There's tons of cheap stuff on the market. If it don't break and it works for you, that's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess that ugly sticks are probably caught more catfish than any other product on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw in there that there probably been more fish reeled in on a Zebco 33.
Yeah.
Than any other reel out there.
And I would say Abu Garcia 6500 probably next.
Yeah, I've got.
Not that you're biased about Abus or anything.
Well, I am, but I just I think there's that many of them been sold.
They've been around for a long time.
But nobody can touch the 33 Zebcos in number of sales. Nobody can.
Got rod and reel combos.
Let's put Betty's comment up there.
And that, we're gonna get there. I see it.
Okay.
But rod and reel combos from, $15, $20 at Walmart to ones that outfitted probably, $2 to $250 total. And they will both catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
My 12-inch Garmin versus a 7-inch, Garmin, you can still, look at structure and,
It just
all that kind of stuff, or not have one at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
The gear is not what makes you. It's being able to get out there and, learn different stuff and be able to set up what works for you. So
gear is great. Gear is awesome.
Yeah.
But there is no substitute. You cannot buy time on the water. You cannot buy experience.
Exactly. And it's like, you hear people talk about the eyes on a crappie jig, stuff like that. And all of it's and flash and to catch the fisherman's eye and the kid's fisherman's wallet. That's all it is.
That's right.
And trust me, I fall into it all the time.
What about controlling someone else's trolling motor with your iPhone?
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, evidently it's a myth because something happened between when I stood out in the rain and paired my iPilot app to Chad's motor, and the next day when he was out there, because I ain't kidding, if you guys were there, I was up next to Chad's boat trying to get that thing to.
Oh yeah, we had I don't know 3 or 4 fish in the boat. We had 6 rods. We had 1 rod left in the water when we were done. I've got lines everywhere, fish everywhere, and I turn around and the nose of Josh's boat is up to my trolling motor, and he's just sitting there in the front, and he's looking at me like, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm just watching.
Just watching.
Yeah, you are.
Zip code 33 is as American as a 30-30 lever action. I would agree with that.
That's the truth right there.
There's no myth about that. no myth about that. You guys, Mark's got Luke Hinges on tonight, so we don't want to run up too long.
Yep, let's not go too far into Mark's show, but
nope. What do you guys got for closing statements tonight?
Well,
I guess for me, we've got we're going to do the next 2 Thursdays on the bait shop. We've got to have the guests that are going to be fishing in the couples tournament. We do still have dates open. I think the 9th is the only day that's full. We have spots on the 8th, the 15th, and the 16th. If anybody is still interested in that, just reach out. We can go to the Fields to Water Facebook group or fieldstowater@gmail.com. We so like I said, we've probably got about 4 or 5 different spots open. Looking to fill those. We will be doing that for charity again this year. So looking forward to that. And I'll see you guys on Thursday night to discuss a little bit more.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, we are into fall now. It's starting to cool off. Get out, do some fishing, enjoy that fall bite. They're gonna turn on. Get out there and enjoy that, and be good to each other, people. That's my statement of the week. Be good to each other.
After we just talked about what you tried to do with my trolling motor.
I was trying to be good. I was going to control your trolling motor for you so you could just fish.
Oh, okay.
Put him on fish.
I like a picture of my boat going around in circles with my lines and my planer boards traveling closer and closer to me.
I was going to hit that rabbit button, and I was going to put it on autopilot to the side, and I was going to let it make a.
God, that'd be funny. I can't wait to see it. Hope it happens at some point. Be sure to tune in to Mark. He's going live with Luke Hinges next on the Catfish Crappie podcast. Mark and I will be live right after the bait shop Thursday night on Panfish Nation. And then Josh and Chad and I will be right back here next Monday night at 7 Central on Catfish Weekly. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you next week.
Have a great week, guys.
Have a great week, guys.